They told you your brain was fixed, that you were born this way, broken, damaged, stuck. They were wrong. In this chapter, we reveal the science of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to heal, adapt, and rewire itself. This is chapter 4 of Rewiring the Mind, and it's proof that you are not your past. You are possibility.
Chapter 4, Neuroplasticity, Rewiring the Mind for Growth. Imagine your brain as a vast network of roads. Every thought, feeling, or action travels along these roads. Some are highways, well-traveled habits. Others are dirt trails, new or seldom used ways of thinking. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reshape these roads, building new pathways, widening routes that you use often, and even shrinking or rerouting roads that you abandon. For a long time, scientists believed the adult brain was mostly fixed like a finished map. But exciting research in the past few decades has proven that the brain remains plastic, changeable, throughout life. This is incredibly good news for healing and personal growth. It means that no matter what's happened in your past or what habits you've developed, you can lay down new neural routes to healthier patterns. In this chapter, we'll demystify neuroplasticity in approachable terms, see it in action. Remember those meditation studies in Chapter 3? That was neuroplasticity. And learn how to consciously encourage your brain to rewire itself for the better. The brain's capacity to change. In scientific terms, neuroplasticity, also called neural plasticity or brain plasticity, refers to the brain's ability to change its structure and function in response to experience. When you learn a new skill, practice a new thought pattern, or even after a significant life experience, the neurons, brain cells, adjust how they connect to each other. Some connections, synapses, get stronger, new ones can form, and unused ones can weaken or wither. To put it simply, neurons that fire together wire together. This famous phrase means that if two events occur together repeatedly, say you hear a dog bark and then feel pain because a dog bit you, the neurons linking dog bark and fear pain wire into a strong network. That's learning. Unfortunately, in this case, a fear learning. But the same principle lets us learn positive associations, like practicing calm breathing in therapy every time you feel anxious might wire anxiety onset with relaxed response over time. Neuroplasticity is evident in many situations. When a person suffers a stroke that damages part of the brain, with therapy, other parts of the brain can take over lost functions. Neurons rewire around the damaged area. Sometimes even the opposite side of the brain can assume control of movements or speech that were lost through forming new circuits. That's neuroplasticity in recovery mode. When London taxi drivers train intensively to memorize the city's maze-like streets, a task called the knowledge, MRI scans showed their hippocampus, memory center, actually grew in volume compared to non-taxi drivers. The brain area expanded to accommodate the huge mental map they internalized. When you repeatedly think negatively, I'm worthless, you strengthen that neural pathway. It's like trudging the same muddy trail every day. Eventually, it becomes a trench. But if you start a new thought, I have value, or even a gentler one, maybe I'm not as bad as I think, and walk that regularly, the old path can erode from disuse while the new one becomes the main road. Your brain's highways of thought are literally rerouting. In trauma and habit formation, neuroplasticity is a double-edged sword. Trauma is essentially unwanted neuroplasticity. Your brain learned fear responses too well. Bad habits or addictions also harness neuroplasticity, reinforcing reward pathways around, say, substance use or overeating. But the very fact that the brain changed in those ways means it can change again. Plasticity is always happening. Our job in healing is to guide that change in a positive direction. Here's a formal definition to anchor it. Neuroplasticity is the nervous system's ability to change its activity and reorganize its structure in response to internal or external stimuli by forming new neural connections or altering existing ones. These changes can be beneficial, like regaining function after injury, neutral, or even negative if the brain adapts in a maladaptive way. Our focus is on fostering the beneficial kind. Self-directed neuroplasticity. You can change your brain. One of the most empowering concepts is self-directed neuroplasticity. It means you can intentionally engage in behaviors or thoughts that rewire your brain in desired ways. Earlier, in Chapter 3, when you practiced meditation, you were engaging in self-directed neuroplasticity, training attention and calm. In Chapter 2's exercise, where you reframed trauma beliefs, you were also doing it, teaching your brain a new way to think about the trauma, which, if practiced, will lay down new neural tracks. Dr. Jeffrey Schwartz, a psychiatrist known for treating OCD, pioneered a method that exemplifies this. As mentioned, he has a 4-step method for OCD patients. Relabel, identify intrusive thoughts as OCD, not me. Reframe, understand the thoughts are brain misfires, not truths. Refocus, shift to a constructive behavior for a few minutes. And revalue. Over time, see the intrusive thoughts as worthless noise. Using this consistently literally changes the brains of OCD patients. Their brain scans show normalized activity in circuits that were overly active before. Schwartz calls this mental practice self-directed neuroplasticity because patients are actively training their brains away from compulsions and anxiety. In essence, through mindful attention and choosing different actions, they carve a new path in the brain, proving the old saying, neurons that fire apart, wire apart, i.e., if you stop reinforcing a circuit, it weakens. What does this mean for you? It means that every time you implement a positive practice or thought pattern, you are doing brain renovation. Each time you catch a negative thought and choose a healthier one, it's like putting a brick in a new road. Each time you resist an old, harmful habit and do something else, you're clearing the weeds from a better path. It might not feel like much in the moment, but over weeks and months, those actions accumulate into structural brain changes. Neuroplasticity also underlies learning new skills, which can indirectly aid healing by boosting confidence and brain health. For example, learning to play a musical instrument or a new sport creates new connections in the brain. Even if unrelated to your trauma, it enhances overall brain plasticity and gives you positive experiences of change. It's like reminding your brain, hey, we can grow and adapt. That attitude then spills over into emotional healing. Let's also touch on the role of physical exercise in neuroplasticity. Aerobic exercise, like brisk walking, running, cycling, has been shown to increase levels of a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is like fertilizer for brain cells, promoting growth and new connections. This can enhance neuroplasticity. That's one reason exercise often improves mood and cognitive function. It's literally helping the brain rewire and even grow new neurons in the hippocampus, for instance. So a holistic healing approach uses the body to help heal the mind. Embracing change at any age. One concern people sometimes have is, am I too old to change? The answer from neuroscience is a resounding no. While it's true that a child's brain is extremely plastic, hence kids pick up languages or skills faster, adult brains maintain significant plasticity. In fact, some abilities like emotional regulation might even improve with age for many, due to life experience shaping wiser neural responses. Studies on older adults have shown that learning challenging new tasks, like juggling or a new language, can lead to measurable brain changes and improvements in memory or processing speed. The brain never stops adapting. It's just that we have to consciously use it, or it tends to stick to its ruts. Thus, it's never too late to rewire habits, heal trauma patterns, or foster new talents. It might take consistent practice. Think of carving a new trail through a dense forest. The first pass is slow, but each walk makes it clearer. Over time, it becomes the obvious path. Meanwhile, the old path fades. In your brain, that translates to old neural networks losing strength from disuse, a process sometimes summarized as use it or lose it, and new networks gaining strength from repeated use. Even memories can be altered. Every time we recall something, it becomes plastic again and can be reconsolidated in a slightly different form. That's why therapies that involve recalling trauma in safe settings, like EMDR or prolonged exposure, can lessen the emotional charge of those memories. The memory is literally rewritten with a bit more calm each time. Practical strategies to harness neuroplasticity. Now, let's outline some practical ways you can encourage positive neuroplastic changes in your day-to-day life. Practice, practice, practice. Whether it's meditation, a cognitive reframing, a new hobby, or a therapy homework assignment, repetition is key. Try to do a little each day. Consistency signals the brain, "This is important, strengthen this pathway." For example, if you're trying to replace a habit of checking your phone obsessively to distract from anxiety with a habit of taking 3 deep breaths instead, you have to practice that swap repeatedly. The first dozen times might feel forced, but soon your brain gets it. Anxiety triggers breathing instead of phone. It will become more automatic with time. That's neuroplasticity at work. Use multiple modalities. The more senses and ways you engage, the stronger the learning. If you're trying to internalize a positive belief, "I am safe now," for instance, say it out loud, write it in a journal, maybe use a visual reminder like sticky notes on your mirror. Pair the affirmation with a relaxing action, like sipping tea or listening to calming music, so your brain associates the positive statement with a good feeling. This multi-channel approach forms a robust network around the new idea. Visualize, mental practice. The brain often doesn't distinguish vividly imagined practice from real practice. Athletes use this. Mentally rehearsing a free throw in basketball can improve actual performance. You can use visualization for healing too. For instance, visualize yourself handling a feared situation with calm and confidence. See it, hear it, feel it in your mind repeatedly. This can start laying down pathways for success even before you physically do the thing. For trauma, if direct exposure is too hard, imaginal exposure, with a therapist often, can begin the rewiring of fear networks in a safer way. Environmental cues. Reshape your environment to encourage the changes. If you want to be more mindful and less stuck in rumination, maybe set up cues, a meditation corner, phone alerts that remind you to breathe every few hours, or surround yourself with people who reinforce the new patterns, like joining a support group or class. Our brains are cued by environment. Changing your neural environment can accelerate neuroplastic change. Sleep and nutrition. These might not sound related to thought patterns, but they hugely affect brain health and plasticity. During sleep, especially deep sleep, the brain consolidates what we learned during the day. Essentially, it cements the new neural connections. Ever notice how after a good night's sleep, that piano piece or language vocab you practiced is easier? For emotional learning too, sleep helps. So prioritize sleep as part of your healing. It's when your brain processes and stores new, healthier patterns. Nutrition matters because the brain is a living organ. It needs the right building blocks, like omega-3 fatty acids found in fish, flax, etc., which support brain cell structure, and it suffers if we consume things that inflame or destabilize it. Excessive processed sugar, for example, can spike anxiety for some. A balanced diet with enough protein, healthy fats, and micronutrients literally fuels neuroplastic change. Growth mindset. Adopting a belief in change can itself foster change. Psychologist Carol Dweck's work on growth mindset shows that when people believe abilities or traits are not fixed, but can improve, they actually do improve more. This applies to healing too. Telling yourself, and having a therapist or coach who tells you that you can get better, that the brain can change, sets the stage for neuroplasticity. It's like priming the soil with hope and motivation. You don't have to be Pollyannish or deny difficulties. Just hold the perspective that improvement is possible, and you're a work in progress, not a done deal. Now, one fascinating aspect, neuroplasticity is always happening, whether we intend it or not. So even your thoughts right now are strengthening some pathway. If you spend hours in self-criticism, you're unwittingly reinforcing that circuit. Think of it as a form of mental practice, though negative. That realization can be a wake-up call. We might decide, if I'm going to be practicing something in my head all day, let it be something that helps me, not hurts me. This doesn't mean you suppress all negative thoughts. That's impossible. But you can start guiding your mind gently toward what you want to cultivate, weeding the garden of the mind and planting new seeds, so to speak. Quick neuroplasticity exercise. Flip the script. Here's a brief exercise to leverage neuroplasticity in everyday moments. I call it flip the script. Whenever you catch yourself in a disempowering thought or behavior, see if you can do the opposite just once. For example, if you're slouching and feeling defeated, stand up, stretch your arms, look up. Adopt the power pose for a minute. Notice the shift in feeling. If you're about to criticize yourself, "I'm so stupid," pause and say something kind instead. "I had a tough day, but I'm trying my best." If you always eat lunch alone at your desk and feel isolated, one day a week flip the script. Invite a colleague or friend to lunch, or at least sit in a cafe around people. Experience a new pattern. These small opposites shake up the brain's autopilot and show it a different way. They're like tiny neuroplasticity experiments. If they feel good or productive, do them again. You're essentially mapping new territory. Even if it feels weird, it likely will at first because it's unfamiliar. Note that weird is okay. It means you're stepping out of the rut and growth is happening. Reflection. Can you recall a time you learned something challenging, like driving a car or playing an instrument? At first, it was awkward. You had to consciously think about every little move. But after enough practice, it became second nature. That was neuroplasticity in action. Your brain laid down a smooth highway for that skill so you no longer had to grind the gears of conscious effort. Healing works similarly. The coping skills and healthy habits you're learning may feel unnatural initially, but with time they can become your new autopilot. Reflect on one healing habit you're trying to instill. Maybe journaling instead of drinking when sad, or speaking up instead of shutting down in conflict. Imagine your future self doing that habit easily. Keep that vision. It's not wishful thinking. It's a glimpse of the neural network you're currently building. By embracing neuroplasticity, you transform from a passive victim of your brain's habits into an active rewiring agent. It's incredibly empowering to realize that, in a very literal sense, you are the electrician of your own mind, plugging in new circuits and disabling old ones. This doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen with persistence. Every chapter in this book essentially uses neuroplasticity. Meditation rewires calm. Inner child work rewires emotional responses to past triggers. Mindfulness rewires focus and reduces reactivity. And integrating spirituality and psychology rewires a holistic support network in your brain. Speaking of inner child work, that's our next focus. We'll apply what we know about the brain and healing to the tender parts of our psyche that formed in childhood. Many of our deepest wounds and unhealthy patterns trace back to our early years. Inner child work is a powerful way to reparent and rewire those early neural pathways with compassion and understanding. With the concepts of neuroplasticity in your toolbox, you'll see how giving love and attention to your younger self isn't just a nice idea. It can truly create new connections in the brain that allow you to move beyond old hurts. Let's turn to that healing journey of reconnecting with the wounded self in the next chapter. Transition. You now appreciate that change is not only possible, it's built into your brain's design. With that hopeful knowledge, we'll move into a very personal aspect of healing, tending to your inner child. In Chapter 5, we'll discover how acknowledging and caring for the child within can heal long-standing emotional wounds. It's time to meet that younger you with the wisdom and love you have now.